Hi, welcome to STEM Talk. I'm Michael Diamond.
And I'm Haley Bott, and this is our new show where we dive into all things STEM. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Lucky for us, our first topic involves all of it.
Today we're going to be talking about robotics and current news. Uber Eats is increasing the use for robotic deliveries using technology from a company named Serve Robotics.
So Serve Robotics is a company whose main mission is to make delivery sustainable and affordable for everybody.
Serve has recently partnered with Uber Eats to test contactless delivery in Los Angeles.
My deliveries would literally be so much easier if I could just answer the door in my pajamas and not worry about anyone seeing me.
I gotta say, Haley, that would be pretty nice.
Speaking on companies that use robots, Amazon warehouses are using robots and leading a robotics race that has huge impact on the warehouse industry.
In 2012, Amazon spent more than $775 million on a robotics company called Kiva System that gave them ownership on mobile robots that can carry shelves of products from worker to worker. They can also read barcodes on the ground for directions along the way.
This gave Amazon the opportunity to build new versions of warehouse robots and let the people inside of Amazon facilities get employed to maintain and fix robot replacements.
Amazon has more than 200,000 mobile robots inside warehouse networks and with hundreds of thousands of human workers.
This has helped Amazon complete the promise of having speedy deliveries to Amazon Prime customers.
Having such fast deliveries made by Amazon led to a boom in retail warehouse industries like Revell and more, to build smarter and cheaper robotic solutions that would help the retailers.
These Amazon robots can fit products into opening shelf spaces that are inside shelving pods, yet they still need a worker to click a button and send the robot around the warehouse.
Actually, due to a recent investigation, it showed the rate of worker injuries at Amazon warehouses are higher than at facilities where robots are not in use.
There's also the issue of people who are losing their jobs to being robots, being workers instead of them. This will have a huge impact on the warehouse industry, which employs more than 1 million Americans today. The rise of artificial intelligent robots and other kinds of robots can show us there will be a time where warehouse robots are capable enough to replace every human task done by a human worker.
That could definitely be a consequence of more robotic deliveries, but you also have to think about the consumer. Imagine ordering delivery with fewer fees. You wouldn't have to pay so much for the driver. My pockets wouldn't be empty after every delivery.
On the other hand, I don't think your pockets would have anything in it. I hope it doesn't actually increase the cost of delivery because Uber Eats may need to raise prices in order to recover from investments in these robots.
True. Let's not forget about the current times though. With COVID and everyone worrying about germs and being with other people, having robotic deliveries may lessen people's worries.
That would definitely make me more comfortable.
I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. All I know is that if I see a robot coming up my driveway, I'm gonna be excited.
No, I would be so spooked, like going down and hiding in my basement. Okay, Michael, totally random question, but what fast food place do you think has the best fries?
All right, that's a tough one. I'm gonna have to go with Five Guys. You?
I'd have to go with White Castle. Even though I've never actually been there, but I'm only saying it for the tradition. I actually read about how they're incorporating robots into their process when making food. They've already had one error system because Flippy, the burger flipping robot, got suspended for cooking meat patties too fast. But I've heard they're making adjustments.
That's right. I saw that also. After the incident, Miso Robotics announced a more independent version of the robot named Flippy 2. So essentially, taking the feedback from the first model, they improved the second.
Flippy 2 takes over the work for the entire fry station and performs more tasks like basket filling and emptying.
This actually came from a robotic kitchen revolution which incorporates hanging the cooking chores to machines that are designed to act like in-home personal chefs.
I gotta say, a personal chef sounds so nice. So Miso Robotics sees Flippy 2 like a coworker that can handle the job of frying, and it frees up the workers so they can work on more important tasks. I mean, the amount of burns I have on my hands from frying foods is crazy.
Yeah, for sure. It can help prevent injury in the kitchen, but this may look like a good idea. What if something gets into the food or it doesn't work properly, especially when you have a huge line in your fast food restaurant?
That's true. It would be a huge problem for the workers to fix the robot and tackle the customers at the same time.
All right, moving to a different subject, let's talk about the Boston Dynamics Group.
Yes. So this is a team known all around the world that builds robotic dogs.
The dogs are named Spot, can open doors, play fetch, and even dance like Mick Jagger.
In an Australian hydroelectric plant, there are 150 tons of water processed every second, and any error can be catastrophic. So the robotic dogs are now equipped with cameras that can be used to inspect the plant's features.
I gotta say, having a dog that can monitor things like a hydroelectric plant and also play fetch with you, that's pretty creative.
Definitely.
On the topic of robotic animals, we have all heard about the cruelty of animals in zoos and aquariums. Some may have even tried to help, but we saw a solution using, you guessed it, robots.
So San Francisco-based tech company Edge Innovations created a robotic dolphin that can move and swim like a real dolphin. That's so cool.
Yeah. The former vice president and creative director at Walt Disney Imagineering designed the robot and named it Flipper.
So this robot weighs about 600 pounds. That's crazy. Not even the same weight as an actual dolphin. This robot also features a skeletal structure and even a realistic muscle. It's currently designed to be remote controlled, but let's see if it changes.
Do we actually think that these captive dolphins can be replaced by robots? I believe China has already gotten interested in these animatronic dolphins.
That's true. Edge Innovation believes that the robotic dolphins might even join a new Chinese aquarium.
Other than saving animals from cruelty, these robotic animals are used by scientists to learn about real ones.
Engineers can make realistic enough robots that animals can respond to them like they're real.
That is insane. The technology that it must take to make a robot act like a real animal must be incredible.
For sure.
I'm super excited to see where all these different uses of robotic leads to.
Definitely. Who knows? We might even see robots that can be superheroes.
Haley, there are already superhero robots.
Are you sure?
Yeah. In Disneyland, in California, there is actually a Spider-Man robot active in Avengers Campus.
No way. That would be crazy to see. I kind of want to go to Disney World now.
Yeah, for sure. It makes me a little sad though. The robot will be replacing people who can do stunts and can swing like Spider-Man.
I guess. But seeing a robotic Spider-Man can still be thrilling.
True. It definitely can be. Especially after learning about all the parts and pieces that make it up, the robotic Spider-Man is fascinating.
I can't even imagine coding every piece of that robot. It's going to be flying through the air. How can you account for that?
Imagine if the robot misses its landing. What would happen?
Michael, they definitely thought of that. I mean, I bet it's hard to break.
All right, you're probably right. There's so much awesome news in robotics. I encourage everyone watching to learn more about it. But let's see what's happening at our community with robotics.
There are multiple clubs involving robotics, but let's meet the one that's involved in this entire show.
Hey, it's me again. So on the Fire Robotics team, I'm the head of CAD. What CAD basically does on the team is we design the robot on the computer. So unlike Build, where it's actually hands-on, real-life parts and tools, what we do on CAD is use an application called Fusion. And with Fusion, we have those same parts, but we actually put them together on the computer. So we make a blueprint for the rest of the team to have the right way to build the robot. You could see it on the computer, you could change the perspective to make sure that all the parts are right. And with that information, the build team can actually use that as a format for when they're building in real life. So the robot, from how we want it to look, will be on the computer, and with that information, the rest of the team can go off of that.
Hi, my name is Arush Jain, and I am the co-captain of Fire. I'm also the head of Build, so my job as head of Build is to organize the Build team. The Build team is responsible for actually building the robot, so that means taking a bunch of different parts and pieces and putting them together as per what the CAD team designed. And so that means a lot of working together with all the different sub-teams to make sure that all the parts and pieces work together well on the bot. And then the second major part of our job is at competitions when, for example, the robot breaks and we have to fix it really quick, or when there's some kind of issue, we have to troubleshoot that issue. So
Hi, I'm Rahul Basak, head of code and co-captain on Fire team. I'm going to be focusing on the code portion. To code, we use Android Studio to run all our code on, and we use the language Java to program the robot. And to make sure everyone's up to date on different computers so that they can stay organized, we use an online software called GitHub, and this allows us to push all of our code onto a database and pull it back so that we can keep everyone up to date with modern code. What code does is we have the motors on the robot, right? The servos, the motors, but the code is what makes them do things. So it's fine if we have motors, but we need to tell the motors to go forward for them to actually start spinning. So that's where code comes in. We pretty much turn either controls from a joystick or a controller into commands, or we program an autonomous that will run a predetermined path in code without any user input.
Hey, I'm Chase Wade. I'm head of logbook on Fire, but I do pretty much everything on the team. The way the different sub-teams work together is super important to the success of the team during competitions. For example, you have the build team who actually builds the robot, but in order to build the robot, we need the design from the CAD team. And then once the build team builds the designed robot, then the code team has to program the robot so it can move. So each team has to communicate with each other. For example, if build is running behind on a deadline, or if they're going to be late, then they have to tell the code team so that the code team knows they can't start coding yet. So each team has got to communicate.
That was only one of the amazing 3 teams for robotics at our school. Coming on now is the captain of Emerald Knights, another robotics team, Amanda Bialik. How are you doing, Amanda?
I'm doing great. How are you?
All right, I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so Amanda, can you just tell us about the 3 robotics teams at our school, Emerald Knights, Lancers, and Fire? What's the dynamic?
So you guys just heard about Fire and Lancers. I don't know that much about. I talk to them a lot, but I don't participate with them so much. And Emerald Knights is my team. I like to think that we're all pretty good friends. I like to think that we all get along well. I know all the captains get along pretty well. That's my opinion.
And you're also on Fire, right?
I am also on Fire.
You're a
I
member?
really like it.
That's great. So do you want to talk a little bit about what this season is about?
Okay, so our season right now is called Fright Frenzy, and there are a lot of things involved in the game, including there's a carousel, and if you spin the side of it, rubber ducks will fall off. I think you get 6 points per rubber duck. I use this is my robot, I use this in order to spin the rubber ducks, or spin the carousel to get the rubber ducks. You can also pick up, we have 2 by 2 inch cubes and 2.5 inch diameter spheres, like wiffle balls, that you can pick up. I don't have a mechanism to do that right now. This is very much in construction at the moment. It's actually at its worst stage of construction. But you can pick them up one at a time and put them on this tiered wobbly thing for different amounts of points depending on what tier you get it on.
I love your robot though.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So you were talking about how you're still making changes to the robot. Is this your final design, or does robotics work how you practice with a certain robot and then you make a final robot? How does that work?
Well, right now we don't have parts. So the majority of the parts that I need for my final design, which is almost finished in CAD, I don't even have. We ordered them, but we don't possess them yet. So this is actually nowhere near my final robot. But we're trying to make do with what we have for the purpose of early competitions that aren't qualifiers.
You're learning from it.
Exactly.
That's great. So do you want to talk a little about I know we have sub teams, we just showed we have heads. Do you want to talk about what you have at Emerald Knights?
We actually have those exact same 4 categories: build, code, CAD, and logbook. We also have an outreach committee, but that's what this show is your outreach. We actually work with a very nice lady named Debbie, and we help children at schools in our area. We pretty much help them play with Legos once a week. Everyone goes once a week. The rest of them are pretty similar. I'm actually, in addition to being the captain, the head of build, my co-captain is our head of code. Our head of CAD is working somewhere in the back of the show. And our head of logbook is named Olivia. She's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So you have like a bunch of different components of your team, right?
Yes.
We kind of talked about it a little bit in the video a couple minutes ago, but how do they work together? So is CAD communicating with code on your team? Is code talking to build? Like, how does that work?
For the most part, the 4 heads communicate with each other. We communicate really well, I like to think. Once in a while, we do try to get the freshmen involved in like how everything works together, and the people who are like less skilled involved in it, but for the most part, it's just between the 4 of us.
Nice.
So you're basically like teaching the freshmen how to like do all this stuff, right?
Exactly.
All right, so that's a cool dynamic that robotics has. So not only are you focusing on this year's competition and making it as far as possible, but you're also teaching freshmen, right?
Yeah.
So how does that work? Do the freshmen need a lot of help? Are at your meetings, is it just like you're showing them what to do? How are you preparing them for next year?
It really, really depends on the person. There are some people that need like almost no hand-holding at this point, like 2-ish months into the season. I can pretty much ask them to do something and they could do it themselves. There are other people who need a whole lot more help, but that's okay. Everyone moves at their own pace. It's fine. I'm totally happy to even teach people how to use the basic tools like screwdrivers, nut drivers, whatever.
Mm-hmm. So this is your second year doing robotics, right? And your second year, you already got captain. That's really impressive, actually. So how did COVID impact like your robotics experience like last year?
So last year we had 0 in-school meetings, a grand total, which means that coming into this year, obviously I'm the captain, I'm supposed to know what's going on, I'm supposed to know what to do, but also like, I had my first in-person robotics meeting in September. So it's definitely a weird change. I'm not used to it. I'm not used to all the meetings being not like in my basement, which is where the rest of our meetings are. And we also only had 1 competition all of last year, only 1 in-person competition. So I'm not super experienced in that either.
So how do you think like you're like adapting to this change of like moving in person for robotics?
Is it tough?
It is a little hard. I, at first, was very against the idea of having in-school meetings. I just really liked having them at my house. But it is still a pain to like carry this whole robot and all the things that I need into school and back home, but it's not that bad. I actually kind of like our in-school meetings because it means like all the teams are in the tech lab at the same time, so I get to ask for help or ask to borrow parts or just kind of talk to people on the other teams.
Yeah, so you talked just now about how there was only 1 competition last year, right? So how does that work? How is FCC, which is what all the robotics teams at our school are in, how does this tournament work? Are there different sections? Like how does it work?
Sections?
Is there different, like is it a tournament that you go to, let's say regionals or something? Like how does that work?
Oh, okay. So at the beginning of the season, we have a bunch of meets, and they don't mean anything. It's just a couple teams showing up at a school and you drive matches against each other. Just like it doesn't really mean anything. I don't want to say for fun because we do learn a lot from them, but it's not super important. And then in February we have qualifiers. We're actually hosting them at our school this year, which is
That's sick.
super exciting.
For sure.
I'm really excited for it, but also kind of scared because at qualifiers there are going to be 18 teams at our school, and 6 of them are going to either get awards or just do really well in the actual tournament, and they're going to move on to states. And if you move on to states and you do really well there, the next step is Worlds, and there are like thousands of teams at Worlds.
Has everyone ninth ever been to Worlds?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
actually.
that's so impressive.
What year did they go to Worlds?
I think, okay, it's 2021. Last year was okay, so 2019 and 2018.
That's really
That's
like
really
2 years
impressive.
in a row?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So Emerald Knights has been what, a team for 6 years now?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. That is insane.
And we've gotten to the highest level of competition the last 4 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So going back to what COVID and how it impacted your team, are you seeing like the freshmen coming in and how the team dynamic works? Is that put on? Is that getting a little slower because of COVID? Because a lot of people didn't learn all the skills they need to learn.
Yeah,
last year?
especially because all the seniors like you had last year, they all left too. So.
That's true. Our team was a lot of seniors last year. But I don't think we're really stunting any progress. I think at least someone on our team knows everything that we need to know. It's just a matter of like, I might not know every single thing about build. For example, slides is one of those things in robotics that just scares me a little bit. I don't really know how to do it. I recently built slides for Fire. I'm really proud of myself, but like if I don't really feel comfortable with that, there's someone on my team.
Right.
Actually, Olivia, our head of logbook, is definitely comfortable with that, and she can teach that.
That's great. So, like, have you had like any problems so far when building your robot?
Yeah, I mean that's part of robotics.
Yeah, it's part of the
I
design process, right?
run into problems every day. Right now, I don't think you can see it, but there's a chain that's like not attached to anything because it's not the right size for our sprockets. This eventually, I'm gonna have literally a piece of our field that I cut up into the shape of a star, and it's gonna collect blocks. I mean, there's tons of problems, but part of robotics and part of STEM is having to solve those problems.
Right. So you have a practice spot. You're learning from it. You're obviously taking in the design process, all the steps. Right. You first have to plan it out, then you have to test it, then you have to test it again, and of course again.
Yeah,
so
you
it's a
test it,
process,
like,
right?
Yeah.
Probably hundreds of times throughout the season.
That's great. That's great. So for the robot as of now, do you think that there will be a lot more changes, or do you think you have a pretty rough idea of what your robot's going to be? Because it's pretty early in the season, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think that's going to be like?
I mean, there are definitely going to be changes. Even from this robot right now to what our actual CAD has planned, there are a lot of changes just in that, since we don't have any of the parts for it right now. But I'm sure even once we start building the thing we have CADed, there's always going to be some kind of problem. You know, a servo broken, now we don't have enough servos, or we got a part but we lost it and we can't find it, or we lent it to a team without thinking. There's always going to be problems. We're always going to have to change things.
Yeah.
Now look, obviously I'm the head of CAD on Fire, right? So I do a lot of the background stuff. But something that I've been wondering is, when you initiate and get and choose a freshman that you want on your team, what is that process like?
Yeah, I've heard your interview process is like really like interesting and fascinating, and you do it really nicely.
So what do you do for the freshmen?
So Emerald Knights likes to ensure that we're getting freshmen who we really like, not as like intellects, but just as people that we think will get along with really well, in order to keep our team environment very like relaxed. So we don't have like very typical interviews. We ask a lot of personality questions, you could say, because we don't want to recruit someone who's been doing robotics their whole life and is super competitive about it. We'd rather people who we're gonna have to teach everything to, but we really like them.
How is your interview process like? Do you remember?
Do you want an interview?
Well, how was your
Yeah,
first of
how
all, how
was
was
your
your
interview?
interview?
Yeah,
Yeah, when
personally?
you were
Last year.
interviewed.
Okay, my interview was scary a little bit. It was just intimidating for me. I don't know why I thought it was so scary. I actually found out recently the only reason they accepted me on the team is because Anthony, our captain last year, we were in the same class for something, and our assignment one day was to list the most types of milk that we could. And
Okay.
he took a nap, and I did the whole assignment. I listed like 30 types of milk, and he was really impressed with me. And 2 days later, I interviewed for him, and he accepted me onto the team.
So the different types of milk is what got you
Yeah.
to eventually
Emerald
be
Knights,
captain
and then
of
cap-
Emerald
Like
Knights.
he
Yeah.
was just really impressed that while he was literally sleeping and
Of the
doing
different
nothing,
milk.
I spent so much time trying
So,
to come up with milks,
you
and he
just-
was like, "That's a person we
Did
need
you
on our
did
team."
you like come up with it? Or you like research it?
I like thought of types. I was like, okay,
know-
almond milk, coconut milk,
Like
2%
30
milk.
types of milk?
Yes.
That's like
It took me an hour to come up with.
I have to say,
and
that's
he
a
was
great
just
ordeal.
really
That's actually, like, really
impressed that I spent that much
impressive,
time on it. And he told me this. We're friends now, and he told me this. Like, I'm not gonna lie, nothing on your interview was that great. I just accepted you because of the milk thing. He was telling me this when he was telling me like who to accept, what a good interview looks like.
Okay, but like naming 30 types of milk is like actually impressive. Okay, wait. You want to give us an interview?
Yeah.
To
I
us?
do.
I need to take up that offer. So
We
what
have
would be
some
the
pretty
question
good
we have?
questions. Okay. So someone gives you an elephant.
Okay.
Okay.
You're not allowed to sell it. You're not allowed to give it away.
An
What
elephant.
What are you gonna do with your new
Elephant?
elephant?
Let me think
Okay,
about this.
what would I do with the new elephant?
Is there like a time limit, or can I think about this?
Okay, let me answer
Like
first.
you have like a
Okay,
second.
go.
Let me
You
answer.
can do it.
Okay. First of all, I'm gonna be hiring an elephant trainer. Okay, I don't know if they exist, but I'm gonna be doing it. Okay?
You could become a certified elephant trainer too, if you want.
All right, so I'm gonna do either that or hire an elephant trainer, one of the two. And the first thing I'm doing, I'm taking that elephant on the street. Okay, I'm riding that elephant around. I'm going on like Livingston Ave. I'm letting everyone see it. So that's what I would do, right? I'd
Okay.
use it as transportation. That's what I gotta say.
I gotta say, I agree with that, Michael. But also, you guys have watched Aladdin, right? I'm gonna hope you guys watch Aladdin.
I've watched Aladdin.
You know how like when he goes on the elephant and like everyone just stares at him and he has like a huge like people always watching him? I'm doing that. I just want that's what I'll do. I don't care if it like I don't know. I'm probably gonna get injured from that, but I'll do it anyway, and then I'll
Just for fun.
exactly yeah.
All right. So you got any other questions? Obviously, I already made it on the
course.
team with that answer.
Yeah,
but
I
still.
would totally be on the team, right?
Yeah.
Would I make it on the team with the same?
I need to ask the rest of the questions.
All right,
so what's the
I need
other
to find
question?
out. Okay. Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
Wait, 100 duck-sized
So like
horses.
100 tiny
Like-
horses
Uh-huh.
or
Like,
one
is it baby-
gigantic duck.
I like baby ducks, like stuff.
Like normal, like a duck, like
A horse duck, obviously. All right,
a horse the size of a duck.
I'm going with the big duck. All right.
Yeah.
Why?
A bunch of little ducks coming at me, like that's or a bunch
I,
of
like,
little
hide?
horses, right?
I'm like gonna go
No.
hide in my basement.
I'm like, what's the strategy? Like, do you have a strategy for taking down this massive
All right.
duck?
Star Wars. Have you ever watched Star Wars?
I haven't.
AT&T walker, walking around. You wrap the legs, okay? You make it fall. The duck's gone. That's all I gotta say about that. I mean, I feel like that's a perfect solution.
I'll pull like a Black Widow and totally like do like assassin moves and stuff. And
Assassin
just-
moves.
Exactly.
She'll do assassin moves.
Yeah.
Assassin moves. Okay.
That's her answer.
Exactly.
Assassin moves.
Like dance fighting from Jumanji.
Yeah, oh my god.
Dance fighting.
What?
Okay. All right. One more question.
Okay. Is
One
that-
more question.
Yeah.
Let me think of my best question.
Okay. Wait, how many questions do you ask?
an
Usually
hour.
I have a list of like
Oh my
maybe
God.
10 or 15
A
stupid
list.
questions, and I
Uh-huh.
ask like
Just-
3 or
Just
4
goes
per
on Google,
person.
search up like stupid questions.
I'd
to ask
also-
people.
Yes, actually, I did that. I'd also like to clarify, we ask like some important questions. There are like a few questions that are like, what math classes are you in? Why do you want to join robotics? Why did you pick our team? But
So like the boring ones, right?
yeah, we just want to know we're not getting someone. Like there was one kid at his interview who answered like, I'm joining robotics because my dad wanted me to. Like that's not the person we want. We want someone who's excited about this.
Right. So you're not, though you're looking for a lot of personality, because I
You're
think
like,
that
you
does
wanna-
make a good
yeah.
robotics member. You don't want someone that, first of all,
Doesn't know
not
what
going to do
robotics
anything,
is. Yeah.
or just they don't have a personality, right? But you also obviously need to see the skills, right?
Yeah, and like if they have like a great personality, but then they don't know what like robotics is.
All right.
so.
One more question.
If you find a penguin in your freezer, what would you name it?
Chili.
Frosty. Frosty the Snowman.
Chili,
Oh,
obviously.
Frosty the Snowman.
Frosty.
Okay. Well.
All right. Would we
I
make
think-
it onto the team?
Yeah.
I think you would make it onto
Oh
the team.
yeah.
You
That's
think?
amazing.
All right. All right.
Okay, thank you so much for coming, Amanda.
Yeah,
Of course.
I
And
think
thank
that's
you
all the
guys
time
for
we got.
watching this show today. And yeah.
Yeah, I encourage everyone watching to find more information on robotics and what's happening in your community and what's happening in the world. It's
Yeah.
really interesting, and you can learn a lot from it. Thanks for watching.
Bye.